Hello, my lovely rose garden. This is Avalon.
And Ray.
And Winnie's here too.
Winnie's watching.
Hi, baby girl.
She won't be here for long.
No, I'll start getting crazy and she'll run off. But we're on chapter 16 out of 55.
You don't have to remind me.
And we're going to start seeing why there's 55 chapters because this one's only a couple pages long. So there is that.
I mean, yeah, there's that at least. We don't have to record in super long stints with this one. I'm pretty sure, though, isn't this the one that was written on Wattpad?
Yeah, it was written on Fiction Press.
Fiction Press, whatever.
Same difference.
Same difference. So, yeah, it makes sense if the chapters are short. But...
Oh.
She goes...
She's drinking like a freak.
Drinking her water like a freak.
She's being so respectful. She's like, I don't want to interrupt your guys' recording. I'm just going to dip my little paw like a lady. I always drink my water like a lady.
Yeah.
That's the Winnie voice, by the way. That's the voice that I use constantly every single day, just walking around the house, having whole-ass conversations with myself. Between me and Winnie.
The awe is tisming.
It truly do be autism. AWW. Like, autism.
Autism. Oh, bautism.
Yeah, she's so
Dautism.
cute. She's so cute.
That's the kind of autism that Winnie has is dautism.
Oh no. Oh no, she's walking for the litter box.
Winnie, no.
Fuck.
Winnie, no.
This might be a very short episode.
We gotta hurry.
Oh. Alright, chapter 16. Despite her attempt to keep her breathing steady, Alexis, I'm still struggling. Alexis gasped for air as she ran beside Cole in the game park. If he was winded, he didn't show it. Other than the gleam of sweat on his face and the dampness of his white shirt, they ran toward a hill.
I cannot understand a word you're saying.
Sorry, that's a fast forward mode. I'll reread. I'm sorry. I forgot about your auditory processing. Despite her attempt to keep her breathing steady, Alexis gasped for air as she ran beside Cole in the game park. If he was winded, he didn't show it, other than the gleam of sweat on his face and the dampness of his white shirt. Are we just gonna constantly have to hear about how much this bitch hates to run?
Listen, other than the crazy motherfuckers of the world, no one likes to run. You ain't special. Crazy motherfuckers of the world.
Okay, yeah, I guess I fit that. I used to like it a lot more, admittedly, until I got COVID, and now I can't fucking breathe.
I like walking places. That's fun. Running, no. I don't run. I don't hurry.
We gay walk.
Mm-hmm.
Where your walking speed is 1.5 times faster than the average person.
I gay walk. You walk slow.
I'm short. It's my little legs. Okay, my stumpy little legs are moving as fast as they can.
My little legs.
Winnie gets it, don't you, Winnie?
I'm a cat. I got 4 legs. I can run. I can run wherever. I go fast.
And she's leaving.
Bye.
She's gone. We both have the Winnie voice, by the way.
Hey, shit, now I'm gone. I'm bye.
Yeah, she's walking away from the evidence of her crime. Oh. Anyway.
I don't know, though. She wasn't in there long enough to shit. She probably just peed.
This is more riveting than this book.
Yeah.
Right. They ran toward a hill. And if I only could make a deal with God.
How dare you bring Kate Bush into this?
Its top still shrouded in morning mist. Her legs buckled at the side of the incline, and her stomach rose in her throat. If you throw up again, bitch. Alexis let out a loud gasp to get Cole's attention before she slowed to a stop and braced her hands against a tree trunk. She took a shuddering breath, holding on tightly to the tree as she vomited. God damn it!
Like I said, I feel like this is some pro-Anna shit at this point.
Yeah,
this can't be still happening.
My God. Like, I know that Alice is not a very long book, but I don't think Christopher throws up this much. And that's really fucking saying something for the kind of book that Alice is.
I think he throws up after meeting Prima and Terciara. I think that's the only time he throws up.
Yeah. Like, and, you know, for good reason, because...
Yeah, for good reason that we're not gonna talk about.
Yeah. But, like, my God, Christopher spends almost that entire book on death's door doing a bunch of, like, physically strenuous activities.
I mean, you know, Christopher has his reasons. And, like, okay, part of me is all like, it would make sense. Because, you know, she's still recovering. But at the same time, she's also, like... She's in the middle of this contest, so I'm just like, are we just gonna continuously come back to her throwing up? Like, we get it. She's not in good shape. Can we move on?
It's been, like, over a month at this point. And again, like, I wouldn't say that I get, like, the little red flags of it being some kind of pro-ED shit. Except for the number of times that she has described eating just copious amounts of food.
Yeah, that's what I mean, is that, like, you know, it wouldn't trigger that little thing in me, except for the fact is that she eats like she's fully recovered, and then some.
Yeah.
Because she's not like other girls. Real girl bosses be eaten. She will not eat a salad. Ever, because that's what the women eat. TM. But, like, then she's like, I cannot run up a hill without throwing up, and I'm just like...
It's giving binging and purging.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like, this is
weird.
This is something that is tripping my sensors.
And this is, okay, I know, it's a short chapter, so I'm gonna take a few liberties with talking about longer shit, so our video will be at least 30 minutes long. Because the YouTube algorithm says that you like that.
Shh.
But...
You're not allowed to say it out loud.
Well, before I go into this rant, first and foremost, if you want to know who the fuck we were talking about when we were referencing Christopher earlier, you should definitely check out our books. And you know
and our Patreon!
Damn it, let me finish. I was about to say, and you know where you can get our books, and then I was gonna point to you, and then you'd say, our Patreon.
Yeah, our Patreon.
Tripped it a little early. Oh well.
That's fine. I run into things immediately. But yeah, no.
Get on our Patreon, because for like, what, $10 one time, you can get ebooks. You can get all of our ebooks.
Yeah, literally $10 for all of our ebooks. Amazing. Spectacular.
A deal that will only get better with time, because there's just going to be more and more books that are published. There's 4 of them right now, and we're going to have a 5th one, hopefully before the end of the year. We're shooting for December. So, you know, there's some good content on there. Plus, you also get to join our Discord server, and you can access the patron-only channels. But if you don't have money to donate, that's totally fine. You can hop on there, become a follower, and we have some freebies for followers, and you can get access to the Discord server that way. Not the patron-only channels, but most of the server is, you know, available to you, even if you're not a paying member. And if you just want to buy the books and you don't want to do the whole Patreon thing, hey, that's fine too. Buying the book supports us. You can buy them literally anywhere that books are sold online. So we're talking Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Noble. I don't know if Apple is still doing their shit, but you can get it there too. Literally anywhere that you can buy a book on a website, it's on there. And also, you could buy them straight from me off of Ko-fi. Right now, we only have the ebooks on Ko-fi, but I'm looking into adding the paperbacks as well. But the ebooks are pay what you want, so it's a minimum of $1. And if you want to throw on a little extra as a tip, that's great. If you just want to do $1 because that's all you could spare, that's fine. But it really helps me out a lot if you read my books and see some hopefully better examples of some of this shit.
And talk to me about Alice.
God, talk to Ray about Alice, please.
Talk to me about Alice.
He needs motivation to work on the sequel, so if you've read Alice and liked it, tell him that.
Tell me about it. And then tell me about your favorite character and your favorite scene. And talk to me about it for hours on end.
And my God, if you ever make fan art of literally anything, whether it's our characters, our books, or just us making these stupid-ass videos, please tag us in that shit.
We'll go insane.
It's so cool when people make fan art.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, back to my relevant rant. Yeah. We're not back to the book yet.
No.
Back to the rant. So I constantly see these takes online that, like, I almost agree with, and then they say something stupid, and I'm like, God fucking damn it, you missed the point.
You were so close.
And so here's my thing, right? I'm gonna talk about 50 Shades of Grey for a minute, because I know you guys love it when I talk about 50 Shades of Grey, and honestly, it's a great one to use as an example. The problem with 50 Shades of Grey is not that it has problematic elements, okay? And I know that's, like, weird for a second, but just let me cook. The problem is not that it's problematic romance, that there's a power imbalance, that he's super rich and she's born yesterday.
Yeah, like, if these were real people, that would be a problem. But they're fake people, so we read it for the messiness.
Yeah, like, it's fiction. I don't care about any of that. In fact, that's probably the reason why I'm gonna seek out half of the shit I read, is because I don't want to see this in real life. Yeah. But a book is not real life. Yeah. I can explore these topics safely in a format that I can walk away from at any time I so choose, which is famously something that you can't do in reality. The problem with 50 Shades of Grey that I have is that these things are not treated as problematic in the marketing. Right? I'm not even 100% like, oh, they need to treat it as problematic in the story, because I don't need a book to hold my hand and tell me that stalking someone is wrong.
Yeah. It's the thing, it's the fact that E.L. James herself,
a real person,
thinks that this is romantic and normal.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like, ma'am.
So you see, that's where the issue lies. The issue lies not with the fictional fucked up people doing fictional fucked up things to other fictional people. The problem is this real life person who people might actually listen to because she's real
is all like
promoting these behaviors in a real life context.
And not just, oh, you should buy my book because it's fucked up, in a, oh, this is romantic. And I'm just like, ma'am? Excuse me.
So now to bring this back to Throne of Glass, the problem is not that Celaena's an asshole or that she does this whole binging and purging shit. The problem is that this is largely presented as a positive thing. Like, I'm not saying that there is no romanticization of bad things in fiction.
Yeah.
But that by itself normally doesn't get me. The fact that this is a young adult series and these particular topics are being placed before a younger audience that maybe doesn't have the worldly experience to know that this is stupid and fictional, right? Because I'm a whole ass adult. If I read 50 Shades of Grey and then I go out and get myself hurt because I want to replicate a really shittily written BDSM scene, that shit's on me. I'm the adult. This is for teenagers who possibly don't know better.
And especially because, okay, with the whole, I keep on bringing up the whole Celaena is not like other girls TM thing, because specifically that is a trope that a lot of teen fantasy and whatnot, young adult stuff goes into a lot. If you have a main character that the audience is supposed to put themselves into, and it's a girl, 9 times out of 10, she's not going to be like other girls. And, you know, as played out and boring as it is a trope that will never go away, because when you're a teenager, especially when you're a teenage girl, You feel like society is entirely expecting you to be something that you're not, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. I get it. I understand where the trope comes from. Like, it's funny to look back on, and it's kind of annoying in the greater context of, you know, sexism and internalized misogyny and shit like that. But it's so clear to me, looking at Alexis, that not only is she supposed to be she's supposed to be a stand-in for the reader, where they can live this power fantasy of being a badass assassin, but this stand-in character also includes things that, as an adult who knows about what goes into eating disorders, these things tip me off very heavily. And, you know, like the whole women be eating thing, like, I don't eat, I'm not like other girls, I eat pizza, not salads, that kind of thing. That is a part of the whole not like other girls thing. So yeah, it is glorifying. It's all like, oh, she eats all this meat and stuff. And then, you know, she does throw it all up because she's not taking care of herself in the text.
And the text does not treat this as a serious problem.
Other than, oh, she can't run up the hill, she needs to go throw up. And it's all like, no, it's because she's not taking care of herself. And the narrative owes it to the reader, who is inserting themselves into this character, that, hey, this person should probably be taking better care of themselves so that they're not continuously throwing up after eating.
Yeah. And you might be thinking, well, isn't that kind of a double standard compared to what you just said about 50 Shades of Grey? To which I say, my standards might be a little bit doubled. Because this is for a younger and more impressionable audience.
Yeah, this is for, like we said, teenagers. Which,
and it's not like I'm saying that, you know, a teenage girl is going to read this and then just, through this alone, develop an eating disorder.
Yeah, no.
But it's within the wider cultural context of how misogynistic,
not like other girls stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And just, you know, even outside of that, just the wider context of Western society and how it pushes a certain image onto especially young women and teenage girls. And it's like, it's combining a lot of things. And is Sarah J. Maas solely responsible for all of that? Of course the fuck not. And I'm not saying she is. But it does get my hackles up a little bit because when you're writing for a younger audience, these are things that you do need to think about.
Yeah, you need to keep them in mind.
Would I harp on this as much if this was written for adults? I'd probably still bring it up as shitty. Yeah. But I wouldn't be as aggro about it, except that this is for that younger and more impressionable audience. And yeah, this by itself isn't going to give someone an eating disorder, but it might make worse an eating disorder that someone already has.
And, like, can I bring up the fact is that, let's be real, a teenager is much more likely to, like, develop an eating disorder than an adult reading 50 Shades has of entering into a crazy BDSM relationship.
Yeah. Like, we got shit to do. We got taxes to pay.
Because most of the time, like we did say back in our old 50 Shades of Grey stuff, the BDSM community is very, very good at policing its own and kicking out members who behave badly, like Christian Grey. So
that man has never been to a munch.
You know, I guess it would be, if I gave it a bit more leeway, it would be like, oh, the likelihood of an adult entering an abusive relationship. But even then, an adult, assumedly, has a bit more common sense than your average teenager. Or at least, I hope. Assumedly. There are plenty of adults who don't have any common sense.
Sadly, common sense is not very common.
Yeah, well, Anyway. Let's begin again. Or continue, rather.
Yeah. So there's our two big, fucking rants out of the way. Mm-hmm. Of why we keep harping on this repeated... We're only at 120 pages in, and it has been repeatedly brought up.
How many times has she thrown up?
Almost every other chapter, she has thrown up.
Yeah.
That's too much. If that's not... eating disorder coded, then that's some kind of fucking fetish. And I don't like that either.
I'm just over here this should be something that is mentioned once, maybe twice, to instill that she is still feeling rather under the weather, and then we skip past it.
Yeah.
We get it. She's not in good shape. Can we continue on?
As much as we're harping on this, we are not harping on it as much as the book is harped on.
Yeah, for real.
Except the book isn't harping on it, it's just using flippant little comments, which we'll see in a moment. But I also bring this up because I remember one of the early criticisms that I got for Alice, back in the very first draft of it, was that Christopher just threw up too much. And I think he threw up twice. Maybe threw up twice and gagged once. Mm-hmm. And I cut out most of like you said, I think he only
throws up I think once,
and it's a directly food related scene. So there's your trigger warning for that. And yeah, okay, continuing on. She hated the warmth of the tears that leaked from her eyes, but she couldn't wipe them away as she heaved again, gagging. Cole stood nearby, just watching. She leaned her brow into her upper arm, calming her breath, willing her body to ease. It had been 3 days since the first test, 10 since her arrival in Rifthold, and she was still horribly out of shape. The next elimination was in 4 days, and though training had resumed as usual, she had started waking up a little earlier than normal. She would not lose to Kane or Renal or any of them.
Okay, so no, it hasn't been a month. It's only been 10 days, but still.
Well, it's been 10 days since they got to Rifthold. That's not counting the weeks of travel.
Yeah, how long were they traveling?
It was 2 or 3 weeks, so it has been roughly a month.
Okay.
Since she left the mine.
Okay.
And she has been eating
okay.
regular meals. Which, again, I'm not expecting her to be fully recovered in a month, but this is a little extreme.
Yeah.
Done? Cole asked. She lifted her head to give him a withering glare, but everything spun, dragging her down with it, and she retched again. 3 times in the last 1 page. I told you not to eat before we left. Are you done being smug? Are you done vomiting your guts up? For the time being, she snapped. Perhaps I won't be so courteous next time, and I'll just vomit all over you instead. If you can catch me, he said with a half smile. She wanted to punch...
Y'all gross.
Yeah, y'all are... This is not the time. Y'all nasty.
Stop bantering about vomit.
Now I'm starting to think it's a fetish. She wanted to punch the smirk off his face, but as she took a step, her knees shook, and she put her hands against the tree again, waiting for the retching to renew. Out of the corner of her eye, you spot him, Shia LaBeouf.
He's following you about 30 feet back.
He gets down on all fours and breaks into a sprint.
He's gaining on you, Shia LaBeouf.
You're looking for your car, but you're all turned around. Oh, wait, no, I might be mixing up the lyrics. Yeah. Oh, well. Out of the corner of her eye, she saw him looking at her back, most of which was exposed by her damp white undershirt. She stood. Are you enjoying looking at my scars? He sucked on his lower lip for a moment. Bella Swan. Now I'm just thinking of that Dusk musical and the secret handshake between Bella and the stunt person, and they end it by going... the lip bite, ear tuck combo. God, I need to see that. I can't wait for October. I could we could watch it any time, but I'm gonna wait for October.
Wait, what?
It's out.
Oh.
Like, you just gotta pay for like $5 to watch it. But I was like, oh, we should wait for October because atmosphere. Because that's usually when we do our Twilight rewatch.
Oh yeah.
Where we just marathon all 5 movies.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's great fun.
And also Angels of Death.
And Angels of Death, yeah. Must do. Anywho. When did you get those? She knew he meant the 3 enormous lines that ran down her back. When do you think? She said. He didn't reply, and she looked up at the canopy of leaves above them. A morning breeze sent them all shuddering, ripping a few from where they clung to the skeletal branches. Those 3 I received my first day in Endovier. What did you do to deserve it? Deserve it? She laughed sharply. No one deserves to be whipped like an animal. Oh, that was a bad misreading. I almost said she opened his mouth. No, he opened his mouth, but she cut him off. I arrived in Endovier, and they dragged me into the center of the camp and tied me between the whipping posts, 21 lashes. She stated... I am bad today. She stared at him without entirely seeing him as the ash-gray sky turned into the bleakness of Endovier and the hiss of the wind became the sighing of slaves. That was before I had befriended any of the other slaves, and I spent that first night wondering if I would make it until morning, if my back would become infected, or if I would bleed out and die before I knew what was happening. No one helped you? Only in the morning. A young woman slipped me a tin of salve while we were waiting in line for breakfast. I never got to thank her. Later that day, 4 overseers raped and killed her. Wild to just skim over that. She clenched her hands into fists as her eyes stung. The day I snapped, I stopped by their section of the mines to repay them for what they did to her. Something frozen rushed through her veins. They died too quickly. But you were a woman in Endovier, Cole said, his voice rough and quiet. No one ever... He trailed off, unable to form the word. She gave him a slow, bitter smile. They were afraid of me to begin with, and after the day I almost touched the wall, none of them dared to come close to me. But if one guard tried to get too friendly, well, he'd become the example that reminded the others I could easily snap again if I felt like it. The wind stirred around them, ripping strands of hair from her braid. She didn't need to voice her other suspicion, that perhaps somehow Arabin had bribed the guards in Endovier for her safety. Again, I'm sorry, fucking what? No, go back to that shit. Go back. Hang on. Lore. Give me the lore.
What?
What is her relationship with this man? Is he an antagonist? Is he an abusive father figure? What the fuck is this? How is he able to bribe these guards? What the fuck is... What? Again, wild to drop this lore now in a casual conversation in... like, the shortest chapter we've had so far. Like, this should have been shit that we knew coming... This should have been in her introduction. Like, yeah, of course the guards that she killed were just evil people because she would only kill bad guys. Fine. That fits with the power fantasy. Could I have known that before?
Dang, wouldn't that be some...
Instead of just having a 3 paragraphs long exposition dump in some random chapter that nothing is being accomplished in?
Nah, son.
What
nah.
The fuck?
We just gotta accept that, we just gotta accept the lore as it comes.
Like, crazy that is being glossed over like this. We each survive in our own way. Alexis didn't quite understand the softness in the look he gave her as he nodded. She only stared at him for a moment longer before she burst into a run up toward the hill.
She burst into a run up the hill. She was like out of breath before this and she just threw up. But now she can go up that hill. Like I said, don't bring Kate Bush into this. She doesn't need to be here.
Where the first rays of sunshine began to peek through. Because we gotta end on, like, a pretty image. Okay, time skip tilde. The following afternoon, the champions stood gathered around Brullo, who lectured them on different weapons and other nonsense she'd learned years ago and didn't need to hear again. Because Sarah J. Maas is not going to research how this works. One of our patrons dropped a lot of knowledge about U-bows specifically from Chapter 15, and that was a learning moment for me. I appreciated that. That was good insight. Now I know she's even more full of shit than I thought previously.
And basically, we're all like, okay, so Sarah J. Maas just Googled types of bows, looked at a list, and was like, that looks like it could exist in this time period. Let's use that one. And then it's all like, yes, a bow made of yew. Something that a very out of shape, slight young girl would be able to draw back and fire with ease.
And if you're confused as I was, yew is a hardwood, which is not easy to make a bow out of. Technically you could, but it would be very difficult to, like, the amount of strength required to actually...
It's impressive to string a yew bow.
Yeah.
And even more impressive to fire it.
Like, I think the, our patron TR in the chat said, like, Odysseus would string, you know, when we're talking about, like, the Odyssey and how all the suitors couldn't string Odysseus's bow and why they all sat up and paid attention when he did it was because it was a hardwood, most likely.
It was a yew bow.
It was probably a yew bow, yeah. So that's the level of just... casually, we're gonna fire this thing. Hi, Winnie. She's back.
I admittedly kind of glossed over it because I'm just all like, whatever. We all know that Sarah J. Maas isn't going to actually research what, like, the draw strength of a yew bow is. She just wanted a bow that would exist in this nebulous time period.
Hi, baby. You want to come up on my lap? You want to come up on lap? No. Aw. No, you're just going to get some pats. Oh, you're so sweet.
Okay. That's just your reminder that I'm not a bitch all the time. Anyway. Hi, baby girl. Oh, she keeps rubbing against my leg. And I love her so much. She turned 7 this year. She's a big girl.
She's just a baby, though.
She's just a baby.
Anyway.
Okay. She was just contemplating whether she could sleep while standing up when, from the corner of her eye, a sudden movement by the balcony doors caught her attention. Alysicles turned just in time to see one of the larger champions, one of the discharged soldiers, shove a nearby guard, knocking him to the ground. She's rubbing so much. She just wants affection and cuddle.
Continue reading.
Winnie.
No, Mommy, stop reading the book. Cuddle Winnie.
No, continue reading so we can finish this chapter.
Okay, fine. The guard's head hit the marble with a crack, and he was instantly unconscious. She didn't dare to move. None of the champions did, as the man hurtled toward the door, running toward the gardens to escape. But Cole and his men moved so fast that the fleeing champion didn't have time to touch the glass door before an arrow went clean through his throat. Silence fell, and half the guards encircled the champions, hands on their swords, while the others, Cole included, rushed to the dead champion and fallen guard. Bows groaned as the archers on the mezzanine pulled their strings taut. Alysicles kept still, as did Nox, who was standing close beside her. One wrong movement and a spooked guard could kill her. Even Cain didn't breathe too deeply. Through the wall of champions, guards, and their weapons, Alysicles beheld Cole kneeling by the unconscious guard. No one touched the felled champion, who lay face down, his hand still outstretched toward the glass door. Sven had been his name, though she didn't know why he'd been expelled from the army. Crikey. We're going straight to Australian this time.
Crikey.
Crikey, Nox breathed, so softly that his lips barely moved. They just murdered him. She thought about telling him to shut up, but even snapping at him seemed risky. Some of the other champions were murmuring to each other, but no one dared to take a step.
Why would you tell him to shut up? Fuck you. He's allowed to react.
I knew they were serious about not letting us leave, but... Nox swore, and she felt him glance sidelong at her. I was granted immunity by my sponsor. I don't know what this voice is. He tracked me down and said I wouldn't go to prison if I lost the competition. At that point, she knew he was speaking more to himself, and when she didn't respond, Nox stopped talking. She stared and stared at the dead champion. What had made Sven risk it? And why here, right now? There were still 3 days until their second test. What had made this moment so special? The day she snapped at Endovier, she hadn't been thinking about freedom. No, she'd picked the time and place and started swinging. She'd never meant to escape.
And I started blasting.
The sunlight shone through the doors, illuminating the champion's splattered blood like stained glass. Maybe he'd realized he had no chance of winning, and that this kind of death was far better than returning to whatever place he'd come from. If he'd wanted to escape, he would have waited until dark, when he was away from everyone at the competition. Sven had wanted to prove a point, she understood, and understood only because of that day she had come within a fingertip of touching the wall at Endovier. Aderlin could take their freedom. It could destroy their lives and beat and break and whip them. It could force them into ridiculous contests, but criminal or not, they were still human. Dying, rather than playing in the king's game, was the only choice left to him. I'm going to finish the chapter and then go on my third rant, whatever rant I'm on. Still staring at his outstretched hand, forever pointing toward an unreachable horizon, Alexis said a silent prayer for the dead champion and wished him well. If he wanted to make a statement, he could have done this during the first test, and he could have fucking shot somebody.
Yeah.
Again, amazed that that did not happen. There was a perfect setup, and there was no payoff. And now we have a payoff with no setup.
I mean, someone like you said in the last chapter, someone could have shot at, like, one of the nobles.
Or another champion.
But, you know.
Like, if he was trying to send a message, this was the stupidest possible way to send that message, because, oh no, you killed a guard, maybe.
No, he just knocked him unconscious.
Well, you know, he's unconscious and or dead. We don't know. But...
He said unconscious.
Either way,
yeah.
Like, oh no, the rich, wealthy elite who fucking organized all this shit and probably orchestrated your suffering sure are gonna feel the loss of that guard. It's dumb. It reads like she was updating Fiction Press, and then someone pointed out that last chapter would have been a good time for one of the other champions to try something. So then she wrote this little, like, filler chapter and was like, oh yeah, see, they're gonna try stuff. You know, it's not everyone's gonna play by the rules. And it's...
Okay.
Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Or, you know, we could have gone back to the whole, hey, one of the champions was fucking murdered. Maybe this guy knew something about that and was, like, put up to this by somebody, or was so afraid of the murderer coming after him because he saw something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe we could have spent some more time with the other champions interacting with Selena instead of 4 paragraphs of her throwing up. God damn, this book is just a masterclass of wasted opportunities.
Yeah.
You could do something with this. This is not a bad setup. This is not even, you know, if Selena was a consistent character, she at least has characterization of some kind. She has character traits of some kind. You could do something with this. And at every opportunity, SJM decides to do the most freaking unimpressive, disappointing thing. Also, this turns out is not the shortest chapter. I've just been flipping through pages while I've been ranting. And chapter 18 is only like 2 pages.
Wow.
So that'll be a very short video when we get to chapter 18. This video ended up being longer than I thought, probably because we just took those extra ranting times.
I'm sure we'll have plenty to say when the time comes.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get better about, like, adding chapters to the... Not chapters of the book, but YouTube chapters. I'm going to try to get better at, like, putting in YouTube chapters, so if people want to skip over the rants, they can, because some of them have the potential to be triggering. This one, I'm going to try to do that for. But we'll see how long that lasts, because I am notoriously lazy. And that's it for this episode. Check out our Patreon and read our books. Please read Alice and tell Ray all about it. Spooky Time is coming up, and it's a great spooky book, and it's also very short and very fast-paced. A lot of people say they can finish it in like a day or two, so it won't take a lot of your time. Please, please.
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 Can I riz you up?
Yeah, sure.
Please, 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 please.
You don't gotta riz me up. I've already read Alice multiple times.
It's his favorite book.
It is my favorite book.
And
it's not just because my partner wrote it.
Yeah, for a long time I was like, oh, it's your favorite because I'm your spouse. And then he was like, no, it's just my favorite. And given Ray's taste in literature, that means a lot.
And Winnie's back. Hi, baby girl. You here to sign off? You here to tell all the people? Yeah, I'm here to tell the people. I tell the people. Okay, everybody, goodbye, and read Mommy's books. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching, and a special thank you to my patrons. If you'd like to see your name here or in the description below, please consider joining my Patreon. Your support means so much to me and allows me to continue making content. If you want to support my content in different ways, consider buying my books, donating on Ko-fi, subscribing to the channel, or even just giving this video a like and comment. Any and everything is appreciated so much. Keep growing till next time, Rose Garden!